Hey everybody, Bob Chick along with Peter McGuff and David Bay. We're just moments off the stage, of course, the finals, day one here on Friday at the Tampa Pro. And it was a full load tonight, David. We had, starting things off earlier, women's pro fitness. Some great routines out there. I tell you, the girls never fail to deliver when it comes to high-flying action.
No, anybody who watches the sport knows that is from an action standpoint, it's limited. So it's always nice when the shows have fitness. These girls are incredible athletes, a lot of them gymnasts, dance backgrounds, things like that, and they never fail to entertain. Marta Aguilar, pre-show favorite, comes away with the win. No real surprises there.
Peter, women's physique had a showdown of two of the best. Patricia Mello making her way back onto the stage. She was off for a good year or so, had some health issues and stuff, which she got over. Looked fantastic, and Gloria Falls, both of them looked very good. At the end, Gloria Falls gets the win.
Yeah, they were the outstanding two in the class, but I went with Patricia right all the way through. I thought she just had a cleaner look to her and a rounder look to her. And but Gloria, they both got on-stage presence, so it was a close call. But I would have gone for Patricia, but no real bitching about Gloria getting it at all.
And the class was well represented. 29 girls in women's physique, and in that top five, very good.
Yeah, I mean, the women's physique, they always pull it out. I mean, this has been a really successful class since it's been launched. I think the look of the women now is just on the right level for the most part. I think you can now announce it a success after, 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, certainly coming into its own, and Gloria will make a fine addition into the Olympia this year. She fits right in there, and I'm not so sure Patricia's done yet. There's another show or two. I'm hoping that we're going to see her in San Antonio next week, because I think she'd be a shoo-in if she finds herself there. But, David, on to the girls' figure competition. Again, I tell you, all these girls were phenomenally conditioned in this show. That's the one thing I noticed right off the bat. 1 through 10, pretty much spot on for condition.
Yeah, figure was really impressive here, and the thing is, we didn't have a lot of real big names as far as figure, so there wasn't, a Candace Lewis or a Latoria Watts
Or anybody named Candace.
No, but don't Candaces. But a lot of really good competitors, and our top 5 was stellar. Kim Clark in 5th place, Natalia Abraham Coelho with those crazy quads in 4th place. In fact, a lot of these figure girls were hitting the squat racks pretty hard. A lot of really impressive sets of wheels here. From Mexico, we had Georgina Lona in 3rd place. Last year's North Americans winner, Sandra Romero, who's only like 20, 21, 22 years old, very young, in 2nd place. I actually had her winning ahead of your champion, Jennifer Taylor. Jennifer looked good. We've seen her in the winner spot before. I did like Sandra for the win, but not complaining with Jennifer in the 1st place spot.
All right, men's physique, David.
Andre Ferguson. You look down the list, the pre-show list. Andre, that's probably going to be your winner. He was your winner. Pretty cut and dry case for me.
Moving on. Classic physique. Truly a showdown here, but I think a little bit of a surprise outcome, Peter, when it came down. I think most people, obviously, pre-contest favorite Darren Charles, who's hit every show on the circuit this year. And again, looked great, but I tell you what, man, we had a real shootout on there.
Yeah, I mean, when it came at the end with Durham and Terence there, I felt that Durham, being that bit bigger, would have edged it. Terence was, very well put together and conditioned, but, Durham was a bit rounder. But I would have had Bennett Streets up there, because I felt of all of them, he had the rounder muscles, the chest was there, the round muscle bellies in the arms. He was well conditioned, could have done it with a bit more legs. But I was very impressed with him, and I've never seen him before.
Yeah, I tell you what, I mean, honestly, that top 5, very impressive. But I'm with Peter on that one. Bennett, very impressive. Terrence, not the biggest guy out there, but, man, he put together. And Durham is Durham, of course, certainly one of the best.
Yeah, Terrence, I think, as far as classic physique, when you think about structure-wise, small waist, good quads. For his size, Terrence has better quads than both Bennett and Durham. They sweep more, they have more fullness, but still a muscle contest, and Durham and Bennett definitely had Terrence in that department. I agree with Peter. Bennett and Durham's legs, to me, are very similar. They don't have a very good sweep on them. They had good detail, a little bit slight. So in the legs department, I look at Bennett and Durham, and I think, okay, these two guys are pretty close. Derham's arms might be a little bit bigger than Bennett's, but overall I thought Bennett's upper body aesthetics are better than Derham's. A little bit tighter waist, better abs, better obliques. I would have had Bennett for the win. I'm not upset with Terrence in the win. Again, being a smaller guy, he still has classical structure, but I'm with Peter 100%. If I had to judge it, I probably would have gone Bennett, Derham, and then Terrence.
That awesome steam Bennett. Huh? Come on, dude.
Never a dull moment. Never a dull moment.
Never. All right, on to the 212. Now, this was the toughest and the deepest class, and I tell you what, it may have been the deepest class I've seen all year. You could see the judges clearly having a time in the prejudging and, again, at nighttime, putting these guys together and putting them in the order. What'd you think of the final outcome, Peter?
Well, Ahmed from Kuwait was a clear winner. I mean, he could have been sharper. He'll have to be sharper if he wants to stand next to Flex Lewis. Flex has got a lot more detail than Ahmed should, but he's not going to be lost for muscle. I mean, he was a star is born almost tonight, And Bolo came through very strongly this evening. I wasn't over-impressed in the afternoon, but he really got his act together tonight, so I was impressed with him. But like you say, these 212 guys never cease to disappoint in terms of the drama and everything. And
how about the emergence of Mike Ergis back onto the stage after some time off? We haven't seen Mike in a year or so, and even before that it was another year or so. But when he came out tonight, probably the most conditioned guy in the class, falls into the third place spot. I think he was very pleased with that.
Yeah, I mean, we go back with Ergas, 10, 12, 15 years, when he won a national title. Right. But this is his best ever, which is remarkable. I don't know how old he is now.
It was early 40s, I believe, now.
Yeah, and the great thing is he's donating his his prize money to the Orlando Club Fund for the people that were shot.
And a great routine to boot on that. Very well choreographed, very nicely performed. Yeah. Nice to see that throwback kind of style, on some of the guys.
Well, that was great to see. That was he did a great routine that sort of knitted in with, what the gesture was towards the, that massacre. Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you this: those three kind of separated themselves out from the pack fairly early on. But then there was 10, 12 guys after that, David, that honestly you could have put anywhere from fourth, and fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth. But all the way down, there were some guys who didn't make the top 10 who I thought were in great shape.
Yeah, it was a case of, okay, well, that guy's pretty close, but he's not there, and had somebody shown up really sharp, that entire top 10 could have been all kinds of flip-flopped. I was a little bit surprised Alaguste not in the top 10, and the biggest thing
surprised me too.
The biggest thing Peter and I had talked about, I was, and not trying to disrespect, I was a little underwhelmed with Wendell Floyd. Surprised by his placing, good quads, good back, but he really wasn't that sharp. But get back to your point, Marian Cabral, Thomas Bignali, Cesar Estella, Fernando Almeida, Kyung-Won King, Joseph Fernandez. I mean, there's a list of like 6, 7, 8 guys. Even Chris Darby, for as small as he was, these guys who were close.
Quincy
but
Whistler.
yeah, Quincy. These guys who were close, but had they been really shredded, could have moved up and really locked down a good placing. So it was in one of the longest prejudgings that I've ever seen. And Peter and I were talking like, wow, they're really, really working these guys. But it was good because you had a first call out. A couple guys were sent back. You brought a few more guys in. And those guys were sent back. You brought a few more guys in. So it wasn't just a first call out, there's your top 4. Now let's look at these guys. The guys that were in the bottom of one call out were getting compared against the top guys in the next call out. So these guys really got a good look. It was open for the taking, but a lot of guys just fell a little bit short.
Well, what's cool to see, Peter, is, again, we're talking about August here. Yeah. We're 6 weeks out of the Olympia, so a lot of these names you haven't even seen throughout the year. A couple of them we have, regulars, that we've seen throughout the circuit, getting some points and all that. But it's good to see that kind of talent and that deep of a lineup this late in the year.
Yeah, it was a really feel-good contest, the 212s, especially the pose down. The 212 guys are more camaraderie than we see in the Open, who sort of stay away from each other. Quincy was going around to every guy. Do this pose, do that pose, challenges. It was great to see. And we always say, they have to make the weight, so the quality was there. It was an interesting contest, but them shuffling around so much, it got a bit confusing in the end. I mean, Marion Campbell seemed to be left out of the the shake-up. I would have had him higher up than that, much higher up than that. But we'll see what happens next time out for him.
Well, Quincy landing in the top 5, he seemed like he was head over heels with that decision on stage, Peter.
Oh yeah, I mean, he's got a real personality. I mean, Rowley has as well, hasn't he? I mean, Rowley's a fun lover. And
the Winkler boys are not shy, when it comes to stage presence and all that. But listen, here's the bottom line: is Ahmad on the Olympia stage? Like I said, he has to sharpen up. Can he be in the mix, Peter, in there, or is that just too deep at this point? I mean, there's a lot of talent that's going to be on that stage.
Yeah, I think he can nudge himself into the top 5 or 6, but he's got to sharpen up to get past Flex, Jose, Hide,
Eduardo, or Dugdale.
Because it's, that's the only knock against him at this time, sharpness. But that's the commodity that's winning contests now, sharpness and detail. So, the guys in Kuwait, they'll just have to go through another little experiment and come up with a new Ahmad,
Well, the boys from Kuwait were here in full force. Oxygen Gym well represented, and they seem to be coming out with packs of these guys now. So John De La Rosa we saw in the house. Speaking of the men's open, Peter, what you mentioned, tomorrow, folks, right back here. We've got 3 divisions tomorrow, so it'll be a little bit shorter. Women's bodybuilding, women's bikini, as opposed to the men's bikini, women's bikini. And, of course, the men's open, the big boys taking the stage.
It could happen.
Yeah. Hey, we're getting divisions new all the time over here. So
I could do some bikini posing.
You could pull it off nicely.
But what's
that's another discussion. That's good for the last rep that we'll get through during the week.
That would be the last rep.
NPC taking the stage tomorrow morning, folks. 8:30 start time. Of course, the pros will be taking the stage at 11:30 in the afternoon. Finals at 5 o'clock. Yeah, so it's not too bad. But so listen, tomorrow full coverage, of course, all day. We'll have our predictions, of course. We'll see John De La Rosa, to me, in the driver's seat. We'll see how he makes out, but he's got his work cut out for him. That's going to wrap stuff up here at the stage. For Peter McGuff, for David Bay, I'm Bob Chick. We're out.
And we are.